strategies to help you become more productive, profitable, create progress, and lead a ridiculously fulfilling life. Welcome to the Susan Sly Project with your host, the woman who wants you to succeed, Susan Sly.
So I have a question. Imagine you are not only building a massive startup in AI, which is just crazy, you are also a professional Darth Vader impersonator because you happen to be the same height and build as David Press. You're a single dad. And on top of it, you volunteer. I mean, seriously. So the guest I have today is going to blow your mind. He's also someone who's become an amazing friend, and I have so much respect for him. So before I bring him out, just a couple of quick announcements. First and foremost, on Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific time, I do Bulletproof Monday on my Facebook Live page. And so Bulletproof Monday is really about the mindset and tactics required to navigate business in the modern era. And for years, I taught mindset, and then people wanted tactics. And I can't teach mindset without tactics or tactics without mindset. So come and check that out. We're getting rave reviews, tons of shares, comments. And at the end of it, I do live coaching. So you have the opportunity to get some live coaching by a mom of 5 who runs 3 companies and is a self-made millionaire. So check that out. It's free every Monday. Next, on November 7th, my class Business Academy starts. And what is Business Academy? It is for the person who wants to build an online presence or an online brand and doesn't want to pay a tech person $10,000 to do it. So you can come and work with me, someone who's had an online business since 1995 and been very successful. And I'm going to teach you how to set up your infrastructure, building your branding, your logo, getting your product to market. So whether you're a coach or you're in direct sales or whatever it is that you want to get to market and you're on a slim budget, you can come work with me. That class list price is $2,997. You can get it for $997 at early bird pricing. So check it out on susansly.com. So with that, my guest today was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he moved to Scottsdale right after 2nd grade, and he fired winter, just what I did. He has a business degree from ASU and a major in marketing, which is what my daughter is doing, and he started his career in 1995 as a data analyst in the sales and marketing department of a software company, which led to database design, business intelligence, teaching Oracle classes, contributing to a few O'Reilly database books, and then founded Primary Key Consulting in 2004. And he is the co-founder of Radius AI, which is a brand new company that started in 2017. And he's surrounded by some of the smartest technical people on the planet. And he is raising 2 amazing daughters, coaching their teams, volunteering, and he is engaged to the love of his life. And recently, my husband Chris and I got to hang out with them, and it was amazing. So my guest today is Jeff Cox. Jeff, it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Well, Jeff is, by the way, he is working from his home office today, so we're having a lot of fun. And we're joking, we're texting earlier because for 2 people who love technology and complicated technology doesn't faze us. Even today, I was having challenges with my Outlook giving the wrong time zone. Jeff and I were laughing just about all sorts of things. And, it just goes to show you sometimes to be in the world of tech doesn't mean that simple tech can't throw you. But anyway, Jeff, I know we're going to have an amazing dialogue and we're going to dive into this whole concept of a startup, because I know there are many people out there, whether this show goes to Africa, it goes to Asia, it goes all over the world, whether someone's in Africa and they're saying, you know what, I want to start my own business, or they're in the United States and they're going, you know what, I'm tired, I want to start my own business. Startups can be daunting, and I want to get into the mindset, tactics, and also talk about some of the things people don't expect. So let's jump right in. You started this company last year, and I want to ask you just to give the broad picture for the audience, because not everyone is super techie. So tell us about your company, Radius AI, and what you're doing and what the plans are.
Fantastic. Yes. So Radius AI, I felt like there's a big wave coming, a big tidal wave, and we're getting our surfboard ready. There's so much there's an explosion of video data out there that's being collected, and some of it's not processed, but most of it's left untouched. And there's so many different business use cases you can get from that. So many actionable insights for businesses, for security, for so many different things, for traffic. And one of the biggest problems with video is currently you're only able to review it. You're not able to search it, such as like you do when you look up something in Google. You type in a few words, you want to look something up, and it pops up. So we feel like we're not getting the value out of the video from the search standpoint, and also a behavioral standpoint and a predictive standpoint. And there's things you can do with triggered events and then searching later. There's so many things you can do. We can apply this to retail. We have so many different possibilities. But in the end, what I like to say is we are teaching computers how to see and think like humans. We're mimicking the complex interaction between the eye and the human brain, and we're trying to. And we feel like we are so far ahead of everybody out there that's trying to do this in computer vision. We have a great product. I got some of the smartest guys, like you said, some of the smartest guys working on this. So we're very excited about the possibilities of where this is going to go.
Wow. And I know you're already doing some test cases, and there are going to be some great applications. Let's speak to the person who's like, ugh, computers thinking like humans and seeing like humans sounds like scary sci-fi. What would you say to that?
Well, it's true. I love the Terminator movies and some of these other movies, Minority Report and Enemy of the State, the Will Smith movie. Some of the things you can do with cameras. And what I like to say is there's such a benefit as far as how to grab some insights and help humans. So I truly believe that the combination of AI plus humans is going to make everybody more productive at their job for the things that are important to help humanity, help with safety, help with traffic, all the possibilities. Not necessarily saying that my company is going to do with it. Help automate things, help make people safer, make cities more livable. So it's like, so you have the Terminator, you have robots that if you want to go there to so far in the future, they will follow a program. And then, so depending upon what AI you're doing, what artificial intelligence you're doing, they have to follow what you program. So I like to say that my guys are all the white hats. We all want to do good for the world. And everybody on the team is just completely excited about the possibilities of what we're going to do with this company, where we're going to go.
I love that. And, we both have daughters. And one of the things that we've spoken about is, imagining one of our daughters walking down the street by herself late at night, and how AI could actually protect her. Speak to that, because we have a lot of parents who follow this show.
Okay, perfect. So let's just say you do have a girl coming from school, and they're walking out of the classroom. Let's just say it's later. She was either at a study or a late study session, or in the library, or doing a school play. What you can do is, there's no way security guards can be everywhere. You have a couple of great, amazing security guards at a school. You can have cameras that basically there's ways to do it based off of behavior, not on this case, actually off of facial recognition. If there's something that's out of the ordinary, if there's a fight, if somebody comes up to this girl, if people are walking after ours, well, it can automatically notify security that's right there. It can automatically, depending upon what we do, it can send things off to police, and it's detecting behaviors of with using AI and machine learning of what's normal and what's not. If somebody's on the roof at a certain time, it will trigger. So there's so many things you can do for safety. You could also do it in the city. If, let's say, you have these outside of a bank, and somebody, it's Arizona where we live. Everybody knows it's hot here, and in Phoenix, and it's July, and all of a sudden somebody's walking around the building 4 times, and then has a sweatshirt on and with a hoodie and pulls it over his head or her head and walks in. Well, these are things that a person could see and know that this is not normal. Well, computers, you can teach them to help predict something that could possibly go wrong and allow humans to respond quicker for that case. Hopefully prevents a girl coming from school, making sure she's safe and doesn't get abducted, making sure a bank doesn't get robbed. Notify everybody for a fast and rapid response.
We haven't even had this discussion. That's why I love the show. It's like, my friends come on and we chat, and whether I'm challenging Jesse Itzler to rap on the show or, whatever, Greg Williams was here singing, Louis Armstrong, we get to have these fun chats. And I don't even know if you know this about me, but when I was in university, we were quantifying crime scenes. So I was writing code on Sun Microsystems. Now I'm really dating myself, but this is like, oh, good Lord, 1990 maybe. And what we were doing, Jeff, we were looking at crime scenes and mugshots, and we were quantifying them based on what was there. And what we found with the tech that we were building is that if a crime happened, we were able to narrow the search based on behaviors and different quants from, say, 1,000 possible offenders to 100, which was much more manageable, to a police department. So that's what we did. And I even traveled to the UK because we had to have samples of faces that looked North American but weren't. So I was there for a month taking pictures, and it was like, excuse me, sir, do you mind if I take your picture for a study? Meanwhile, the guy ends up in what looks like a mugshot but isn't. It's like, anyway. And there were so many uses then, and this evolution of where we can go and what we can do to help is just mind-blowing. Let me ask you this. AI, the average person engages in AI on a daily basis right now, but they probably don't even realize it. Can you think of some scenarios right now where people are using AI and they're not even aware?
Oh yeah, when somebody's at work and they have a problem with, let's say their banking or a product or whatever, and they open up the chat. Well, a lot of those responses are actually AI responding there, and they don't even know it. And it's so good that they have no clue until it starts getting complex, and it says, "Hey, we're going to have somebody call you." The other thing is, it's so interesting hearing that you can now with AI call and schedule appointments for a haircut. You can YouTube that. The technology is there where it was listening, converting that to what did the person say, and then responding with a human voice. And it wasn't a computer human voice. It had ums in there. It had pauses at the right place. It was mind blowing when I first saw that.
It's mind blowing. It's frightening because there's, I have a friend who has a small tech company. I'll introduce you guys because you'll fall in love with this guy. He's so awesome. And they have some AI, and I think her name is Nicole or Natalie or something. And people call and they're like, well, I want to speak to Nicole. And Nicole's not a real person, right? She's like just they've got a chatbot and voice recognition and stuff like that. And what Zach Ferris was here, one of the founders of Coplex, and we were talking about the future of tech. And one of the things Zach mentioned is that jobs that exist now, like truck driving as an example, aren't going to exist as we get driverless vehicles and things. What about the people who say, is all of this AI going to replace human jobs and are scared by that?
And that's a great question. And so that this is something that's happened for a long time. One analogy I've heard before, and somebody actually wrote a book on this. They were talking about progress of humans and certain people that basically are going to be afraid. For example, a lot of the mainframe programmers back in the 90s, when all of a sudden PCs really started taking off and servers and Java, and you could do rapid application development. Well, they're like, hey, this isn't tested. This isn't proven out. Same thing again with I loved Oracle and SQL Server, and all of a sudden the big data came, and there's all these other products that were a lot cheaper, worked better, were faster, and still there's many great things you can do with Oracle and SQL Server. But some of the people that I talk to, it's like, we better learn something new or we're going to be left behind. The story I was going to tell you is it was a exaggeration, but it had these lumberjacks using wooden axes to chop down a tree because they didn't have. It's just what they always did, and so it would take 5 people like all day to chop down one tree with wooden axes. Well, then somebody invented a metal saw, and everybody went after them and said, "You're putting people out of work. You're an economy killer." And so it's the response is you have this new technology that comes along, and what will happen is these people will, like the mainframes, will switch to Java, like the big data or the Oracle guys will now learn some new tools that are better. Same thing with those. So, okay, those lumberjacks might be out of business, but now guess what? There's going to be so much more trees ready to make furniture, make houses. There's going to be all these other new jobs that open up, but you can't just hold back, because then what's going to end up happening is some other country, some other city, some other company, a competitor will take the technology, and they'll be the ones who are innovate. They'll be the innovative ones. So sometimes you have to evolve, or you will go extinct.
Mm. And what I'm hearing too is it's a must. It's not about, okay, I'm going to buy a, plot of land in North Dakota somewhere where there is no one, and I'm just going to sit it out. I mean, if that's a possibility for you and you want to do it, fine. But this is the way we're going. And I remember my dad was on the team that invented the microprocessor. So yay, shouts out to my dad. He listens to the show. He's the only listener. No, I'm just kidding. Hi, Dad. So my dad loves the show. And so my dad's on this team, and they're inventing the microprocessor. And then when I came along and I was old enough to really understand my dad, who's an engineer, and what he was saying, he's like, Susan, from the time I was a little kid, everyone's going to have a computer. Everyone is going to be having a computer at some point that's so small you'll hold it in your hand. I mean, this is stuff my dad was saying in the 70s. And I remember, Jeff, this is so funny. So I was working on that same research, on Sun Microsystems, designing this stuff. And I'm in Ottawa at a university there. And I had this question, and the professor goes, let me message my colleague. And I'm like, cool. Where's the colleague? And he's like, she's in somewhere in the US. I can't even remember now. And so he types in a message to her. And then a moment later, she messages back. I'm like, that is so cool. He's like, yeah, it's called email, and soon everyone's going to have it. Like, I'm not even kidding you. So, I think it's, and everyone's like, email, then we're going to lose the personal touch. And even now with CRM systems and integrating those for small business, people are like, I'm going to lose the personal touch. No, you're not. You're going to actually be more personal, more custom, and free up your time to actually go out for dinner and end up at a cowboy bar. That's another story. Anyway, so I want to shift gears and talk about a startup, because I'm about to embark on that process. And I'm going to admit it's very daunting. I've never done any kind of startup where I've had to do a capital raise, do all of that stuff. How did you transition from your consulting business to saying, this is what I want to do, starting this company? And, firstly, what steps did you take? And secondly, how did you manage your mindset? Because there's a lot of ups and downs, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the key for me is, you mentioned I started doing databases in '95, and I worked for some great companies. I've learned from some really good managers what works, what doesn't work. And I've noticed some of the companies, they treat their IT people like commodities, like a cog in a machine. And I always believed that was the wrong way to do it. So I've kept really good relationships with some people. And when this opportunity came along, like I said, seeing a big tidal wave coming in, I want to build the surfboard and be ready when it comes. I reached out to some of the smartest guys I worked with, and we were ready to go for it. And, the one saying that I've heard a lot is startup needs cash like a newborn baby needs oxygen. Well, it's the truth. So how do you get that? And that's the hardest part. So went through, talked to a few people. You always have to be wary about giving up too much at the beginning, whether it's equity, whether it's board seats. A lot of times if the tech people feel like the founders don't have control, well, then whatever they promise could change. So it's one of the things that definitely keep the founders in place with the tech team, keep everybody motivated and doing it. Because a lot of times when you get the investors, they might invest $1 million or $2 million in your company, but they have other businesses, they have other stuff, and mainly they're betting on a racehorse and with a jockey. It's not their life. But for me and a couple of our other co-founders, this is everything. We're putting everything into it. And there's certain people, when you talk to it, it's like, but for us, 1 month is huge to a big company that, multi-billion dollar company that's, some of the companies, we're partners with, which are great partners. They're making $12 billion a year, $50 billion a year. And they can wait things out for 3 years to get things going. Well, startup, you have people you hire, you want to make sure they get paid. You got to do it. And so the investment that you get is key, and the partnerships that you make are also the key. And so with the co-founders that I have, I completely trust them. I knew them for years and knew that no matter what, they have my back. You always want to be with somebody that will tell you the good and the bad, especially to your face too. And this is where I remember the conversation with you, and to take Darth Vader in Star Wars, the Jar Jar. Who's going to point out the Jar Jar in your idea or what you're doing? And so, just to give your readers a background on that, George Lucas had the Phantom Menace. I loved Star Wars as a kid, and that movie came out. I'm like, this is a great movie. This is so good. All of a sudden, Jar Jar appears, and it's like, what happened to this movie? And it was such a disappointment. And reading the history on that, it was like, well, some of the people that work for Lucas said, hey, you know what? His voice is kind of annoying, but they didn't want to tell him. And there's actually, you can download this. It's called the Phantom Edit, and they take it where Jar Jar, I think, has text on there, and it's actually a pretty good movie. But nobody felt good enough. They all were the yes men, at least the ones that had his ear, and that was a major mistake, I think, for that franchise. So that was a joke, and I thought, you laughed at that, because it's like, yeah, you need people to tell you the good and the bad, and if there is a Jar Jar. So I'm going to throw that back to you, because I might have taken one of your talking points.
No, it's so good, right? And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think regardless of the kind of business someone wants to start, whether it's a coach who's like, oh, I want to have an online coaching business, and you get all caught up like, oh, I'm going to build a funnel, I'm going to make $200,000 a month. Yeah, okay, right? No, one of the biggest things, you and I were at an event not that long ago, and one of the speakers was talking about socializing your idea, and keep socializing it and talk to people about the idea, people who have been successful, or people who are potential investors, or people who are potential users of what you want to do. And, when you start to talk to people who it's almost like putting yourself through Shark Tank, right? When you start to do that and have those conversations, especially with people who've been there, done that, they're very likely to tell you whether it's a good idea or not. And don't just do it with one person, and don't just do it with the people who love you. Be bold enough to have that dialogue. So how did you invest your own money, or how did you come up with the startup capital?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I went a year and a half without making a dollar, and I made good money before, saved it, put everything I had into this company. And so what we did is, after talking to a few possible investors who, when you're at the beginning, you don't have anything but a business plan on a napkin. They want it all. So what we decided to do was I put together a pamphlet together, and you do a friends and family seed round. I raised about $200,000 from some close friends and family. They believed in my team. They believed in my dedication, my long hours. And so I got that. We hired a few people. We got a WeWork office, and then from there we put together a demo. And then December came, and so we had our second part of our seed round still open, and we gave a demo, and we were able to raise $1 million in about 3 weeks. So that got us going, and from there we were able to add more people, our technology. We gave a presentation. We went to a big event at the end of March, and people were blown away by our AI. And we had another economic development tool there at the time, but the AI people were like, okay, do you guys realize that this only exists in Hollywood? What you guys are able to do, what you're able to follow objects and people and detect behaviors from camera to camera to camera, and then go back and search and look through this. And it's interesting because we were doing all this for smart cities and trying to make cities more livable, safer. Well, we've had so many people come up to us and like, what about this? And so one of the things we're developing is with retail, and some of the business partners we're talking to, if you just take, if you can increase the traffic into their store by 5%, it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And for what the cost of our product is per month, it's like insane return on investment. And so we're really excited where everything is going here. But to get back to it, so that's what we did. But the one of the keys is looking for all the partners. So almost everybody that we hired was somebody I either worked with or knew, or my co-founder Bobby knew. And then there's also a great friend of mine. His name's Brian Campo. He's one of the co-founders too. He's a brilliant numbers guy, and so he was able to help us with that second raise really fast. These are people that energize me. They make me feel positive, and you talk to them. But when things are getting tough, you can just do a brainstorming session, and they're not going to hold you to every word that you say. It's always good with these people. And from here, then we added more and more people. One person we did hire in our tech team, we didn't know, and it was something Bobby found him. He's been amazing. He's one of our younger people, and he's been amazing. We were able to hire some of the top computer scientists in the world, and getting a top computer scientist in the world is like trying to get a Tom Brady type NFL quarterback to if you have a new franchise. So we were able to put together the dream team here, and it felt like the stars were just aligned for us at the right time. And there's so much opportunity right now. So we're all extremely excited.
I thank you so much for going through that, because one of the most illuminating facts I've heard in the last 365 days was the average age of a successful startup CEO. And, to break the myth, if you didn't hear that episode of the show with Zach, it's, most people think it's like Silicon Valley, like these guys who are, coding in someone's house and, drinking Red Bulls and stuff like that. But the average age is actually our age. Jeff and I are, I think, a year apart in age, and it's our age. And it's people in their late 40s who have been around the block, who want to be disruptors, who have a work ethic. They, in the study that was done, they're most likely to succeed. So so my question for you, so what I'm hearing is it was like ramen noodles for a year. Like you didn't take a salary. You lived on your savings. Did anything, if you look back, we're only like just over a year into this, is there anything you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. You go back and be the Monday morning quarterback, and what could we have done better on Sunday's game? There's absolutely things you could go back and with like some of the things we're doing with technology now. Had we been focused on this 6 months ago, I just would know where my product would be, and it'd be so much more amazing for everybody. And I see the long-term picture, but sometimes you get so excited. It's like, when can I see it? When can it be ready? And so the interesting thing is some of the things we're focused on, all that technology that we built out is applicable in the other verticals where we are going, and the other business solutions. And so it's not like it was waste of time building it. Some of the things that we're building, we're partners with some people and kind of waiting for their deals. And it was like, hey, we need AI, and we got this platform, and we're going to need you guys, and we're going to get these big 3-year deals, and we're going to bring you in. Well, the problem with that is you don't control your own destiny, and if they don't get a deal, or if they bring in somebody else for whatever reason, it's like, okay, well, hey, we got to bring revenue in. So what we're doing now is great. We still want to partner with those people if it's right and if it's a win-win. But we also are coming up. We're developing our own product where we're not beholden to anybody, and so that way we can go out and we can go sell and we can go do exactly what we want for the company. Of course, the goal of all the startups is the massive exit. So we feel like it's put us in a lot better position for a much bigger return on investment for all the seed investors. So I know some of the original seed investors, they're so excited about where we've taken this. One of the guys is like, oh my gosh, this is so much better than what I thought. I still didn't quite get it, but now that I actually see where it is, I want to invest more money. So it's hearing that, it's all the sleepless nights. And then the other thing, mentioning as far as like dating, and I'm engaged now to the love of my life. She's so patient with me. So many nights I wake up at 3 and I start working. So many nights I have a business event. I come home at 10, and she's patient and loving and kind and so helpful. And it is sometimes a lonely world as far as if you're not with the right person, it would be impossible, I think, for me, at least right now where I am, how busy I am and how many hours I'm working to actually, if I wasn't dating anybody, to actually go out and meet somebody and have a healthy relationship. I couldn't do it. So it is a balance of being an entrepreneur, working the crazy hours, being a parent, being a coach of my daughter's softball, trying to drive them to and from work. I have a peaceful split with my ex-wife, and so that's good. She's been very helpful, and I always try to help her when she's a very busy, intelligent woman and very successful. We try to help each other, and surrounding yourself, again, I mentioned this, but with the right people and the best people is the best way to do it. If you have the smartest guy in the room, and if it's not working out with the company, it's like you're at a big risk of how is this going to spill out in the other in the rest of the team? How is it going to spill? I've seen it many times in corporate America with the tech guys. There's somebody who comes basically very, very smart, but doesn't have the best communication skills and says things in a way. And then some of the tech people are like, hey, and they start quitting, and it's like, wow, it's the spoiled apple ruins the whole barrel. And so the thing is and there's always going to be the ups and downs. And I try to encourage people at Radius to, hey, what's working, what's not working, let's talk it out. Because if they hold it in and then you find out something months later, it can turn into something that's not the best. So it's the thing with the right positive people, but also everybody's going to make mistakes. One of my mentors says you have to allow people to make mistakes. I make mistakes. Are you with a team that's going to stick together and you can talk? It's easy when the money's coming in. What about when the problems are there? Are you able to talk through them? Are you able to be disappointed or be upset and not always be the peak energy, happy person? And yes, I try to do that all the time, and so does everybody I work with. But again, like you said, there's the ups and downs of the startup, and there's some nights where I get 2 hours of sleep, and then you got to do a whole day of meetings, and then also something doesn't go where you thought it was, and it's like, okay, I got to keep positive. I got to keep this. But that's why I'm saying, like my co-founder Bobby, anytime I have anything on my mind, he'll listen to me, and it's so good to be able to have somebody that you can talk to. And I feel like that with a lot of guys I work with. So definitely the right team that can handle the ups and the downs, the good and the bad, and that can be completely honest with you, and you can be honest with them, I think is a successful formula for a startup, and again, it's never perfect. And can you keep going? Everybody, one team, one mission. That's the goal. And then hopefully everybody gets their great exit.
And you said so much there. It's messy. Like, you're doing something and then you get a call from the school and someone hurt her elbow or her knee or, has a fever and you're running and, you coach your kids. I coach my kids like, cross country, and I'm out there running with teenage boys and junior high girls in 110 degrees. Like I have to, my director of operations calls me Wonder Woman. We have this kitchen in our offices in Phoenix, and Jeff is so funny. So I'll be there. I love tech because it's like, for me, like my uniform is like jeans, t-shirt, blazer, high heels, right? So I could be in the uniform. And then at 10 to 3, if it's a coaching day, I go running into the kitchen. I change into shorts, t-shirt, ball hat, and I go flying out the door. And sometimes I come back with my son, sweaty, come back in the office, do a few more things, or I pick up my girls. They're doing homework in the boardroom. And it is like it. And, sometimes people say, well, you're not a good parent. And especially for women, there can be a lot of criticism because there's still these quote unquote traditional roles. I was raised by a single dad. I don't think it's any different. When you have the girls, it is going to be messy. And sometimes you're going to have to, you and I were on a call and you were driving someone to school. It is going to be messy. Can you speak to that, to the parents listening right now who are like, oh, I'd love to start a business, but it would be so selfish. What do you say to that?
I say there's never a good time. It's interesting. People say divorce, getting married, a death in the family. Some of these things are, it's never convenient. It always seems to get in the way, and you have to just make time for it. Like getting married, death in the family. You got to stop work. I mean, these things force you to do it. Some people, they won't take a vacation, unless they get married and it's a honeymoon. Always they'll feel guilty. Well, with a startup, you have to build this with people that know that you're not going to get paid corporate salaries. Everybody's going to be more on a budget. You're hoping to get, investors don't want the founders to get wealthy on salary. They want them to get wealthy on the exit. So you got to divide the company up, give options to everybody to keep them excited about the whole mission. But the whole kid thing is, and my girls know, Daddy's going to need to be on a phone call when we're driving. Daddy needs to do this, and I'm going to get calls all over. And they've been so patient and so good. When I have time with them, I want to take such good care of them. And there's a time just a couple weeks ago, my daughter's like, Daddy, I had a bad dream, and I think at this point I had 2 hours of sleep that night. I'm just like, okay, let me get up and let me sit with you. And it's just the love of the kids, but then you have to have the love of the company too, and the people you work with. Mm-hmm. That's what keeps you going. Otherwise, it's very easy to say no. And I put in, one of my things, one of my hobbies, backgammon. And it's a thing. There's always a risk, and sometimes the not taking a risk is the worst thing to do in the game. Like playing it safe is the worst thing you can do, and you'll lose. How do you win? Well, you got to take the risk at the right time and have a good strategy. So that's why I love that game, because it's a combination of luck and skill and math, which to me is like real life. And how do you get to the end? And so for startups, how do you get to the exit is what you want. Do you sell the company? Do you go public? And how do you do it where everybody who's put their blood, sweat, and tears into the company, they get a nice size check and they're happy? That's the goal of every startup. And it's luck and timing and strategy. And I know almost every single successful person that's made their millions early. They're in the right place at the right time. They met the right person at the right time. They stumbled upon something. I haven't met one person that has told me that luck, some element of luck, had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and it's that faith too, because a friend of mine was brought into GoDaddy early on, and she's an attorney and CPA, and she was like, "Why are we running these ads with these big-breasted women? And I don't get this. And I'm a Christian, and I don't believe in this." And then she saw that they were trying to attract the attention of the domainers, who were kind of like these young guys up at early hours of the morning, like 1 and 2 in the morning, having pizza, and they were like, "Pay attention, buy domains," and when that company was sold, she did very well. I won't tell her number, but it's like Jeff and I and Jeff's fiance and my husband, we were out, and I said to Jeff, after 2 glasses of wine and a margarita, I looked at him and like, "What's your number?" Right? We had that whole conversation. What's your number? And knowing that number, I think, is key. I think the other thing too, I love what you said, love your family, love your company. For me, as I go into the beginning of this process, it's really about, who am I hanging out with? Because, I have a friend who's doing a startup franchise where he's the owner of, he will have all the franchisees under him. He helped to build a massive franchise and then got out, took a year off, was really bored. Now he's doing something else. And I am very cognizant of how he operates even within our friend group, right? And it's the same thing. I think it's being surrounded by people who are entrepreneurial and do get it, because if your friends don't get it and you're surrounded by, say, government workers or 9-to-5ers or 8-to-4s, they're not going to get it. And I think that our environment also helps, in terms of our success. I want to ask you, so there's this debate in the business world, in the startup world. Do you hire the sales person first or the finance person first? What's your vote, sales or finance? Chicken egg. It's like, which one do you do?
Well, that's tough, because some of our expenses really got out of hand, and I'm so glad for one of our hires that we added. He's been able to get a handle on all the process and approvals and make sure there's enough money. And sometimes it is like the wild, wild west when you have a startup, and as far as what exactly is your budget when we hire somebody, what is the need? And of course, we never want to just hire a friend just to give them a salary. So we never did that. But some of the things, some of the processes he put in place, okay, make sure with the lawyer bills every 6 minutes. So if you talk 1 minute on the phone, he bills for 6 minutes. So I was like, wow, these are great ideas. He had many other good ideas. And then finance guy. We hired a finance guy who's very well connected, helping us through our Series A. He's very, very experienced, a very good business mind. So I really feel like between the co-founders, our board members, our investors, and all the technical people we have, and then the leadership team after this, I feel like we have the dream team, and it's right here. So I don't know. I see, if I say sales, and then sales, I have a few of the most amazing salesmen that are helping us out. One is a part-time sales guy who treats us like gold. Another one who's trying to help us put some deal together. He's like, once we pay me, once we get this deal together. A lot of these people, they understand startups. We're adding another person, actually, it should be today, who's just brilliant mind, who wants to be part of the whole startup thing. So if I say sales, then the finance guy is going to say, hey, no, it's finance. If I say finance, the sales guy is going to be like, well, I'm the rainmaker. You can't just survive off of investment. You got to have the revenue coming in. So this is where I'll be the politician. Here, I'll say they're both 50-50 equal.
I love that answer. It's so funny because I've listened to Mark Benioff answer that, and Clayton Mask and Infusionsoft. It's fun and how do you decide, right? Like, because the sales is bringing in revenue, the finance person is taking care of that. It's like you kind of got to go both. All right, in a moment we're going to play Truth or Truth here. Before we do, Darth Vader, seriously. So when Jeff and I randomly met at this complex that has a lot of like tech incubators, tech startups, so on, co-share spaces. And on our first conversation, I find out like he is like a legitimate Darth Vader impersonator, has like the multiple four-figure legitimate costume, could be called at any moment to play. No, anyway, but tell everyone how that happened.
All right. Yeah, this is a great story because this also leads into isogenics here and healthy eating. And I was going up to San Francisco, probably up there about 75% of the time I was commuting there. Very, very busy working on a couple clients up there, but back in 2013, 2014, and basically I'd fly out Monday, sometimes fly back late Thursday night. I had my weekends, and so crazy busy. So I also, when I was doing a corporate job, there was a while when my kids were younger, I thought that maybe doing the corporate job might be for me, which a lot of people there are amazing and I love. But I got addicted to Monster energy drinks at one of my corporate jobs. Well, I've been fit my whole life. When I was younger, played multiple sports. All of a sudden I looked down while I was playing football with my kids and some of the neighborhood boys, and I was in my t-shirt. I'm like, I have a belly. Oh my gosh. And so at that point, one of my friends from high school who went on, became an NFL player for, I think, a year or two, and he got injured, and he started coaching. He started doing these gyms. He's put an ad out, and I got on Facebook. Any males in their early 40s, that was at the time, I think I was maybe 43. Do you want to get rid of your belly? And I called them up. I'm like, yes, I do. So basically started eating very healthy. I did some protein powders, by the way. Isogenics taste amazing. That's a meal when I'm on the go. Other things when I'm traveling, there are certain things that you do, counting carbs, not calories. Well, all this, I started posting this on Facebook. Like, here's my journey. Here's my before and after picture. And I got pretty good. My belly shrunk a lot where my abs were showing. So all of a sudden, for a lot of men in their 40s, you can talk about cancer rates going down, heart disease rate going down, type 2 diabetes going down. But when they figure out they might be able to get abs, that's what they want. Well, how do I do this? So I ended up sitting down with one of my buddies who's like, hey, I'm pretty athletic and I just want to lose a little bit of weight. Can you help me? And I would help everybody for free. And so I'm helping him. And then one of his buddies, and I was telling him about some of my volunteering, and like, you know what? And this was after a couple of weeks. We volunteer at hospitals and schools and sporting events. Do you like Star Wars? I'm like, oh my gosh, I had all the Star Wars guys when I was a kid. They're like, how tall are you? And I'm like, I'm 6'5", almost 6'6". So like, you are the perfect height of David Prowse, Darth Vader. Would you like to volunteer? We can get you a real Hollywood costume Darth Vader, and you just show up to a school. We have some events. You can say no to them. Where there's a few Darth Vaders in Phoenix area. And I'm like, this sounds amazing. So that is that's and I don't know if they would have asked me if I was a fat Darth Vader. So I fit in the costume very well.
That's a great story. And there's so much we could talk about. We'll have to come back and do another one or do one when we're together. This whole thing, people romanticize it. Like, I'm doing a startup and, I'm doing all this stuff. And then I cash, you and I have met people and they've cashed out at like 100 million, 200 million, and so on. And it's all glamorous and everything, unless it costs your health and it costs your marriage and it costs your family. And one of the many things that I love and respect about you is that you do take care of your health. You do take care of your girls, and you're doing this in the right way because you don't want your family or your health to be collateral damage in this whole journey. Okay, Darth, we get to play Truth or Truth now. So you get to ask me anything you want. This is like a fan favorite. Like, they love to hear whatever the guest is going to ask me. So you get to turn the tables on me and go for it.
All right, great. Well, this one just popped in my head. So I know you are very healthy. You've been very successful selling isogenics. So I want to hear your worst possible cheat meal that you probably wouldn't want to share, whether it's like Cheesecake Factory or you eat 3 pizzas. What is it? Maybe you do once a year.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So I don't like sugar anymore. I used to, I used to be that girl who looked at the dessert on the menu first, and I don't even like it. And it just freaks my body out. So if I have even like half a piece of a cheesecake or something, I don't sleep at all. So I don't like sugar, and I don't like sugary things. And, when it was my birthday recently, Chris, every year, Jeffy makes me carrot cake, like homemade, gluten-free. It's delicious. And we'll have to have you guys over. And he's an amazing chef. And so anyway, I'm like, babe, can you make them in miniature this year? Like, have you seen the miniature cupcakes? Yeah, I'm sure the girls have had them. Yeah. And he's like, miniature. And he's like, you're going to eat more of them. I'm like, no, I just totally don't want any sugar. So he made these miniature carrot cakes. And then he has like the icing on the side. I didn't even have icing. It's just too sweet. I had like 2 of these mini ones and I was done. But my cheat meal involves cheese. I'm allergic to dairy, but it involves cheese, and it involves like eggplant parmesan or mushroom risotto, an amazing bottle of Brunello di Montalcino, decanted for an hour. I am a vegetarian, but it would involve a lot of cheese. Maybe it would also include like like a really good pizza margarita. And it would all have to happen in Italy because that's where the food tastes like even better, right? So that would be my cheat meal. And
that sounds like the best cheat meal I've ever heard.
Thank you. And on top of it, when I go to Italy, I kind of eat like that every day. And it started like, I go work out, then we're walking around, and then I'll have some Prosecco and a little spuntino, which is the Italian word for a little snack, something like some cheese plate or, carciofi alla romana or something like that. And then, walking around some more, have a little piece of pizza, some more Prosecco, and then have dinner, that's kind of, yeah. I think I need to go to Italy right now, but I'm doing a startup, so that's not happening. All right. Now I get to ask you one not related to AI or startups. So let's talk wedding. So you guys have a wedding planned, and, the date is in stone. And I was asking your beautiful fiance about her, prep for the wedding. So I have a funny question for you.
Sure.
So are you like, this is, a second wedding. You're in the middle of a startup, but are you nervous at all?
Well, I would say that when I proposed to her, took her up to Napa in early July and right around the July 4th, this is where the thing is there's never a good time. You have to live life and you have to plan it, and you have to have people that you trust in the company that you can do. And she knows that I might need to take a few phone calls or answer a few texts, but there was for a lot of that proposal, I just turned it off. I turned my phone off, and they all knew like the proposal day, I wasn't gonna respond. So, and then for the wedding, and with the honeymoon, definitely, I know that she wasn't able to take the nice honeymoon that she always dreamed of. So this is something I want to give to her, and I have, like I said, the smartest guys. My team is amazing. I don't hire the same people that's Jeff. I hire the gaps that I need that can help me and think in ways that I don't think, but together, everybody, we all can fill in for somebody if they need some time off. Everybody needs time off. So with her, I did. Where we're going to go, I have to make sure there's Wi-Fi. I have to make sure that I can talk on the phone with Wi-Fi. You can do WhatsApp at the very least. You can do Zoom conferences. You can do Skype. So that's the only thing that I need to do. And she's so patient, but of course I want to do the trips. I want to go snorkeling. I want to go see dolphins. There's so many hikes I want to do. I'm going to make time for it. It's my honeymoon, and this is the love of my life, and you gotta put it on pause and just trust that the people you work with will help make it work, because then when they need something, everybody bends over backwards in it. And again, like I said before, wedding, divorce, death in the family. I mean, these are some things, no matter what, there's going to be issues with work. And you got to have people that have your back.
I love that. I wrote that down and underlined it. There is never a good time, right? There is never a good time to plan a wedding. There is never a good time to do a startup. There's never a good time. I mean, sometimes are more, I guess, perhaps attractive than others, but at the end of the day, what I'm hearing is it's really, diving in, living life to its fullest, seizing the opportunity, surrounding yourself with really smart people, and and taking good care of yourself and your family. I love it. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being here on the show, and I know we're going to have you back, and we'll definitely keep everyone posted about all of your success. And to all of the listeners, if this show has been helpful to you, great to you, please do give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. I would love that. Share it on social. And the episodes that we have, if I referenced something today and you didn't hear that show, go back and listen. Go check out Zach Ferris's show. That will really lead in nicely to Jeff's interview today. And with that, Jeff, thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much, Susan.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. God bless. If you want to connect, I do have AI on my website, susansly.com. We have a great chat bot on there. If you have ideas for a show, suggestion, or any thoughts, would love to hear from you. So check it out on www.susansly.com. With that, God bless. Go rock your day. And I look forward to giving you some great information and some of my special friends on a future episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another epic episode of the Susan Sly Project. For more tips, strategies, and ideas, visit www.susansly.com.